today, we are embarking on a deeply immersive journey into a majestic place where history, honestly, never actually stopped. We're going to explore a space where you can physically walk through over a millennium of human ambition, faith, and sheer power. I'm talking, of course, about the magnificent Prague Castle. So let's dive right into this and see exactly what makes this place so uniquely captivating.
To really wrap your head around Prague Castle, you first have to understand its sheer, jaw-dropping scale. We're talking 70,000 square meters. It's actually recognized by Guinness World Records as the largest ancient castle complex in the world, stretching nearly 600 meters in length. That immense footprint is exactly why it's always been the symbolic and physical heart of the Czech Republic. It is not just a single building sitting on a hill, it is an entire universe all on its own.
The story actually kicks off way back around 880 AD, with a really simple fortress founded by Prince Bořivoj I. But as we move through history, we see the foundation of a grand cathedral in 1344, a completely world-changing political event in 1618, the cathedral's actual completion in 1929, right up to the modern functioning democracy of today. You see, instead of destroying and replacing the past, Prague Castle just kind of absorbed it. It soaked up 1,100 years of empires, architectural eras, and dramatic shifts in power, creating this continuous historical setting that we can still walk through today. As you walk deeper into the courtyards, your eyes are just irresistibly pulled upward. You start to see the tips of these dark, Gothic spires violently yet elegantly reaching into the sky. That is St. Vitus Cathedral. And guys, it is a masterpiece that was literally 600 years in the making. Construction began in 1344 under King Charles IV, but thanks to wars, a lack of funding, and, political chaos, it wasn't officially finished until 1929. Just think about the multi-generational patience of all those craftsmen to build those soaring vaulted ceilings. And what's truly breathtaking is the light inside. When that afternoon sun pours through the massive stained glass windows, especially the unbelievable one designed by 20th century artist Alfonso Mucha, the ancient stone is bathed in these shifting, living waves of red, gold, and violet.
And the cool thing is, the complex allows you to experience actual architectural time travel. Contrast the heaven-reaching, highly detailed Gothic drama of St. Vitus Cathedral with the building right around the corner, St. George's Basilica. Founded around 920, the basilica is Romanesque. It's simple, grounded, with these massive stone walls and rounded arches. It just feels so intimate and peaceful. Literally, in just a few footsteps, you transition from the quiet, heavy dawn of the Czech state to the soaring, dramatic heights of a medieval empire.
Now, deep within the cathedral is the Chapel of St. Wenceslas, and it hides a remarkable secret. Behind an almost invisible doorway is the chamber holding the incredibly rare Czech crown jewels. But here's the catch: you can't just walk in. The security protocol is straight out of a sophisticated heist movie. It requires 7 specific key holders, and we're talking people like the president, the prime minister, and the archbishop, to all be physically present at the exact same time just to unlock the doors. It's this powerful, living tradition that symbolizes a shared responsibility for the nation's very soul.
But I mean, it wouldn't be an ancient castle without a chilling legend, right? According to local folklore about the crown of St. Wenceslas, anyone who places it on their head without being the rightful king will die within a year. No exceptions. Whether it's true or not, this myth has survived for centuries. It just goes to show how seamlessly legends and folklore organically weave themselves into the factual, stone-cold history of the cathedral.
Now, we're entering a space that might actually look pretty modest from the outside, but inside, this is exactly where the violent, dramatic, and world-shaping destiny of Central Europe was forged. The crucial point here is the Vladislav Hall. Built at the end of the 15th century, it is an absolute marvel of engineering and spectacle. It features this breathtaking stone-ribbed ceiling that twists and flows almost like frozen waves. But get this, here is the most incredible fact about this massive open hall. It wasn't just built for fancy banquets. It was designed with a special staircase wide enough to accommodate fully armored knights riding their actual horses right into the room for indoor jousting tournaments. That is medieval royal spectacle at its absolute peak.
This palace was also the site of immense political drama. In 1618, right beside this very hall, a group of angry Protestant nobles stormed the offices and literally threw 2 imperial governors and their secretary straight out of a castle window. Now, miraculously, all 3 men actually survived the fall. But this single violent micronarrative, known as the Second Defenestration of Prague, completely ignited political tensions. It exploded into the 30 Years' War, which became one of the bloodiest conflicts in European history. History changed not on a battlefield, but because of a single window. Let's go ahead and leave the heavy crowns and global politics behind for a minute. Because to really understand Prague Castle, we have to look past the absolute royal power and focus on the deeply human, everyday elements, the people who actually kept the place running. And that brings us to one of the most charming spots in the entire complex, Golden Lane. Instead of towering stone palaces, we have this claustrophobic, incredibly colorful, fairy tale-like cobbled street. These tiny houses were built right into the defensive walls in the late 15th century. They were home to ordinary craftsmen, guards, goldsmiths, and, for a brief period in the 20th century, the famous writer Franz Kafka. It really reminds us that history is shaped by blacksmiths and seamstresses just as much as it is by kings.
But, medieval life wasn't all just colorful little houses. Just down the lane, we find the dark, chilling reality of the castle's medieval prison towers, the White Tower and Dalla Borca. Power and punishment existed side by side here. Dalla Borca is actually named after a nobleman named Dalibor, who was locked up there. According to a deeply enduring legend, he learned to play the violin in his freezing cold cell, and his beautifully sad music would drift out over the walls, attracting sympathetic townspeople who'd bring him food. It's a stark reminder of how justice, fear, and human resilience all echo through these ancient stones.
So let's step out of the dark shadows of those prison towers and pull back to a grander view of the whole complex. Centuries of very diverse rulers added an incredible variety of cultural elements to the castle. You've got Emperor Rudolf II in the 16th century completely transforming it into a hub for European art, astronomy, and even alchemy, which you can still explore in the Powder Tower today. You have the stunning Renaissance architecture of the Belvedere Summer Palace in the Royal Gardens. And, honestly, my personal favorite, the Singing Fountain. It's this bronze masterpiece that actually produces a soft, gentle metallic music as the water falls onto its sculpted surface. Every single generation of rulers added a completely different flavor to the castle.
But perhaps the most vital takeaway from this whole explainer is that Prague Castle is not just frozen in time behind some museum glass. With its highly choreographed ceremonial changing of the guard and its active presidential offices, it is still very much the governing heart of the Czech Republic today. State documents are still being signed just a short walk from buildings that were ancient before Columbus even crossed the Atlantic. It is this spectacular, living fusion of deep history and modern government existing right side by side.
Which brings us to a final thought for you to chew on. When we walk across the same stones as medieval kings and stand beneath the very same Gothic arches that witnessed coronations and revolutions, are we just guests in the castle's 1100-year timeline, or do we become a part of its endless story the moment we step through those gates? Prague Castle has survived empires, wars, and shifting borders. It was here long before us, and it's going to be here long after, and that is what makes it so profoundly moving. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer today. I really hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and leaves you wanting to explore those endless layers of history for yourself.
Pikiran nggak yang pasti nggak tahu.
Var már hallani. Kiedyś.
Latihan, taka.
Acolo îți și zicea cam pentru ce fiecare, știi? Era numele pentru...
چینیه دیگه حالا تو این چجوری این دو مردم رفتن بالا
میرفتیم دیگه مگه اون یکی ها نرفتی بالا قدیمه ها
Oturdu canlar. Am mai fost înainte. Păi au intrat repede, îți dai seama. Să arate mai mare. Mai sunt doar mese.
شکنجهگاه بوده اینا، سلول انفرادی بوده. سیاه‌چال.
No, però potrebbe essere proteggere le castelli. Dai,